Well, Kendrick Perkins is siding with LeBron in the GOAT debate. Perk tweeted a side-by-side comparison of LeBron having averaged more points, rebounds, assists, and a higher shooting percentage in his last 3 finals losses than Jordan had in his last 3 finals wins. So, Shannon, does this prove LeBron is the GOAT?
I think, and I love Perk, and I think Perk does a great job of highlighting kind of like what I try to do. But I think the thing is, Jenny, people are dug in, and they've chosen a side, and they're not moving off that side. And these are very compelling numbers. When you look at it, he's averaging 3 more points, 3.5 more points, 5 more rebounds, 5 more assists, and shoot a higher percentage. And he's losing these games. But I forget the thing I was looking at the other day. The 2015, 16, and 17 are ranked the highest opponents that either Michael or LeBron could have possibly played. 5 of the top 7 that Michael, when they graded the teams that Michael played and the teams that LeBron played, LeBron had 5 of the 7. Now, mind you, the 2018, the second year that Kevin Durant there, they didn't even make it. Now, we know what Kevin Durant represents. That team did not even make it. Let that sink in for just a second. So, in other words, LeBron James in finals competition has faced tougher opponents than one Michael Jordan. Now, Skip, he loved all these stats and facts that he loved to point out. I'm just pointing out stats and facts of what these articles said. That LeBron James competition in finals have been tougher than Michael Jordan's in finals. I mean, I don't really know what else you can ask a man to do. A man averages 35, basically 11 and 10, and he's losing. I don't really know what you can ask a man to do, Skip. I really don't.
The article in question was on the website 538. That's what you read.
Oh, yeah,
the overall premise of that analysis, correct. The overall premise was Michael Jordan's playoff opponents were tougher than LeBron's playoff opponents. That's because in Michael's day, the East was the beast. And in LeBron's day, the East was the least. So he had just easy pass. He had super highways to the finals. I will give you that Golden State was the toughest finals opponent either LeBron or Michael ever had to contend with. I give you that. But remember,
Spurs.
Remember, LeBron had his biggest meltdown against the Dallas Mavericks, who were ranked by 538 the easiest finals opponent either LeBron or Michael ever played. The 2011 Mavericks, easiest finals opponent, and the chosen one became the frozen one in that series. Michael never melted down in any series of any round of the playoffs. So now let's go back to Kendrick's idea, his panel that he put up on his Twitter. It's so misleading because it's a bunch of phony baloney. Here's what's not included in those numbers. And Kendrick, it was a nice try, but you failed again to make LeBron the GOAT. He's the phony GOAT, rated PG, phony GOAT. And here's why. In the final Bulls three-peat, they played Seattle, Utah, and Utah. The games were played much more physically then, and the scores were far lower than the LeBron Golden State scores. So there are far more points to be scored against Golden State because it's more run and gun. Against Seattle and Utah, here are the average scores of those finals. Against Utah, it was 93 to 89 was the average score. The first Utah series, the average final was 88 to 87. Then in the three-peat finals against Utah, the average was 88 to 80. So all the scores are down in the 80s. But guess what? So the average score of those three-peat finals for Michael, the second three-peat, was 90 to 86. He scored 35% of the 90 points. Now you look at LeBron against Golden State. The average score of all three of those finals was 112 to 103. Many more points scored by both sides. LeBron scored 34% of those points. So Michael, 35% of his three-peat points, and they won. And LeBron, 34% of more points to be scored, and they lost. They lost in 6, then in 5, and then in 4. They got swept.
But Skip, but this is what I don't understand. Why you never make that now with Tom Brady, that they don't attack the quarterback. The wide receivers have more freedom. They throw the ball more. No. I just want to know because all you do is talk about the pace, the style of pace. LeBron, they're getting up more shots. So this is why his numbers. But you never do that for Brady. You don't say they don't attack the quarterback like they did in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. You don't say they cut and grab the receivers. That the receivers, they're the defensive receiver, and they call. You don't make that argument. All you do is highlight what Tom Brady is doing. But every time I give you numbers about LeBron, you try to highlight why he's doing it. You won't just give him credit and say, man, this guy's great. He played unbelievable. You always try to find a caveat. You try to find reasons to why.
Again, our audience is hip to Shannon Sharpe. They get it that when he's losing an argument, he always has to change the subject. So all of a sudden, I have you on the run with some cold, hard facts, and you say, what about Tom Brady? This isn't about Tom Brady. This is about Kendrick Perkins trying to make a weak case, a lame case, that LeBron is better than Michael because of some bogus stats. Misleading, misanalyzed.
So I want to make sure I'm hearing you correct. So in other words, LeBron James is really not scoring 35 points, right? So is it 35 or is it not 35? Is it 12 assists or not? Is it 10 rebounds or not? I just need to know. Is it that? Yes or no?
Okay, look, I give you that. Scores higher, he's scoring more points. I also gave you this. If you remember, I've said this many times on Undisputed. In 2015, the greatest 3 games LeBron has ever played in his playoff life, games 1, 2, and 3 of the 2015, the first finals against Golden State, before they had Kevin Durant. LeBron had lost Kevin Love before the finals started. He lost Kyrie in overtime of game 1. And what did he do? He put that team on his back and carried them to a 2-1 lead with game 4 in his house in Cleveland. If you win that game, I'm going to be backed into a corner because you're going to be on your way to the greatest feat of your career. You by yourself are on the way to beating Golden State with Steph and Clay and Draymond and Iggy, for that matter. And what happened in game 4? LeBron spit the bit or swallowed the bit.
Nah.
He came up small in his own house. He shot 7 for 22 that game. He went 5 of 10 from the free throw line, and he disappeared. And everybody told me back on First Take, oh, he just ran out of gas. Baloney. He's the fittest athlete in sports. That's all I ever hear.
Well, but Michael Jordan said he was running out of gas at the last three-peat. But you didn't say nothing about that. You didn't say anything. Michael said that.
He won.
That's what Michael said.
He won.
No.
He won every one of them.
That's why he took time. That's why he took time off. He was running out of gas. That's what he said. I didn't say it. Call him and tell him, say, Mike, you shouldn't have said that. So now he ran out of gas.
Shannon.
He took a year and a half off. Did it happen, Skip? Yes
Shannon.
or no? Did it happen?
And I want you to know that I'm not saying that Seattle or Utah in the last three-peat were Golden State, but they were really good basketball teams because Seattle that year had the second best record to the Bulls in '96 when the Bulls were sensational.
Yeah.
They went 72-10. And Seattle won 64 games and were second best and first best, obviously, in the West. And then Utah was the second best record in '97. And then Utah tied the Bulls in '98 for the first best record. So don't tell me they weren't quality opponents. There was nothing underdoggy about either of those teams. They were really tough-minded, very good, well-coached basketball teams.
Skip, if you don't mind me asking, the Blazers, how many Hall of Famers did they have on the Blazers? How many did they have on Seattle? And how many did they have on Utah? You don't mind me asking. Clyde Drexler, 1. Seattle,
No.
Gary Payton, 1. Utah, 2. Stockton and Malone. Okay, let's go
2.
to the Spurs. They
Okay.
got 4.
It's a lot.
The Spurs have 4. Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, Tim Duncan, Kawhi Leonard. That's 4, right, Skip? Is that a lot? Is 4 a lot?
No.
That's a lot, right?
You always tell me that Tony Parker and Manu are completely overrated. They're broccoli, and they don't belong in the Hall of Fame. That's what you told me.
Skip,
So the Spurs have 2. I'll give you 2.
No. Skip, stop that. First of all, you know Tony Parker's going to the Hall of Fame because he was Finals MVP. Manu's going to the Hall of Fame because of those rings and his international play. He led Argentina to the gold medal. You know he's going. Kawhi Leonard, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 2 Finals MVP. Tim Duncan was ranked in the top. He was ranked ahead of Shaq and Kobe. So stop that, Skip. Stop it right now. And Golden State got 4 Hall of Famers. Go James!
Skip, this next one is for you. CeeDee Lamb was making plays well before his time at Oklahoma, and we have the footage to prove it next.